LA County Sheriff Robert Luna holding a news conference now regarding the deputy use of force investigation in Lancaster.
Let's go right to it.
Camera footage. And then I think most of you are aware that there is a consent decree up in the Antelope Valley where Lancaster sits. So we notified our federal monitors to make sure they were aware of this incident and that the video existed out there. Our Civilian Oversight Commission, and then the Office of the Inspector General for the County of Los Angeles. And again, that's important because there's no taking shortcuts in any investigation, not that we would do that anyways, but there are other agencies that will be looking at this along with us. We do take the use of force, any use of force that occurs within our agency very seriously. But again, we need to determine the actual facts of what happens. And it's going to be, and I'm going to make sure that it's a very objective review. The male involved in this arrest, I'm not naming him, just like I'm not naming the deputies, because we're still in the middle of this investigation. And out of respect, I don't want to name anybody at this point. I'm sure that'll come at a later time. But the male involved in this was arrested and cited out for resisting or delaying an officer, which is a 148 charge, petty theft or attempt petty theft, and then interfering with the business. So there's 3 different charges for the male involved in this. The female involved in this case complained of pain to her eyes after being pepper sprayed and sustained several abrasions on her arms. The female was treated at a local hospital for her injuries and arrested and cited out for assaulting an officer and battery after assaulting loss prevention personnel inside the market. And for clarification on there, from what we gather, and again, it's early on the investigation, she was involved in some kind of a theft altercation with store employees and loss prevention personnel inside the market. I have asked Chief Dennis Neer, who's standing right beside me. He's the chief that oversees our Northern Patrol Division, along with Acting Assistant Sheriff Myron Johnson, who is currently in command of the department's patrol operations, to personally oversee this incident and to keep me apprised of all updates. And it's not only myself, but standing right next to me is Under Sheriff April Tardy, who oversees all our administrative or internal affairs investigations. Myself, Under Sheriff Tardy, Acting Assistant Sheriff Johnson, and Chief Neer have collectively spoken with the variety of elected officials at the city, county, and state level, including County Supervisor Catherine Barger, State Assembly members Mike Gibson and Juan Carrillo, and Mayor Rex Paris. I have spoken to them. They're concerned about this incident, and I've talked to them over the last several days. I've also spoken to several community leaders, religious leaders in the Antelope Valley. And then as I conclude these statements, what we've directed our command staff to do is to organize a meeting with community stakeholders later on this week. Those phone calls have already started. We're still trying to identify a location and work with others to put this, but it'll give the community an opportunity and our community leaders out there to bring forward their concerns regarding this incident. And our full intent is to work with the community. And based on some of the community outcry that I've heard, there has been some challenges out in that area, and we want to make sure as we move forward collectively, not only as the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, working with our elected officials and our partners in the federal government who've been seeing this consent decree over the last 8 years, that we are moving in the right direction. Although I look at this incident and I got to tell you, it's a bummer to see it. I always think we can do better, but again, I don't know all the facts. And as we get them, we'll be sharing them with our community. So I thank you again very much for being here with us today. And now I stand ready to answer questions. And you give me a second. He raised his hand. We're still looking at that. Obviously, it looks to me, or from what I'm gathering, that they went there together. They were involved in the dispute inside the market together. Somebody identified him as husband and wife. We don't know that for sure, so we're still looking at that relationship.
Sheriff, you called it disturbing. Could you expand on that when you saw this videotape? What exactly was disturbing about it?
When you see a use of force of anybody in uniform, and with any community member, but obviously there is a woman in this video, and again, we don't know all the facts. So in order to stay objective, I mean, no one likes to see that. I don't think anybody ever wants to see any force being applied in any manner, especially from somebody in uniform. But when I go back and you're reviewing this, you try to put yourself in the position of the community member and what she may have been feeling. But at the same time, if I'm looking at this objectively, what were the deputies thinking? Meaning they're responding to a robbery. What's happening on the other end? So there's a lot to this. So I ask for the community's patience to allow us to look at this objectively and figure out exactly what happened.
Sheriff, was there anything taken from the store?
On that, I don't know yet. Again, if I tell you what I think, I'm not being fair. Because as I sit here, I'm telling all of you, I don't know all the facts. But that's what this team is going to do. There'll be others looking at this. The Inspector General will be looking at this. I'm sure our Civilian Oversight Commission will be looking at this. And then at the end, we'll figure out, is it a training issue? Absolutely could be. Is it misconduct that could lead to discipline, from lower levels of discipline all the way to dismissal? That's all on the table. I do not know yet, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I told you what I thought it was here in front of you now. And I'm sorry, there was a question back here.
And were the suspects in possession of anything when you made that arrest?
That's part of what we're still looking into. Everything you just asked are the questions we're asking, and we'll find out as we're moving forward.
Sure, if you're looking at the two actions of the two deputies to begin with, some people in the community have indicated, as you hinted at, you said there may be some challenges to how patrols have been done there in the Lancaster area. Some of the people are convinced that the actions go beyond the two deputies. It's the attitude that's coming from the commanding officer in the Lancaster area. Not putting any blame on him right now, but will this investigation go beyond those two deputies to look at the chain of command and how activities have happened regarding patrol operations in Lancaster?
Yes, and that's an excellent question, because as we look at this, people are focused on what just happened on the video. Obviously, I've already said it, it's concerning. We will look at that to see those factors. We also have to look at the response. Who called?
All right,
What they said.
That was Sheriff Robert Luna speaking
our
about the
station
investigation being
personnel,
launched
what
into
they
deputies'
heard,
use
what
of
they
force in an
dispatched.
incident in
Because
Lancaster,
you've gotta
saying
look at
that
the
we
mindset
need to
of our
determine the facts
responding
first,
employees when they
and
get
it
there.
will
What
be
they
an
hear
objective
happened.
review. He says that they're going
A
to
lot has to do
organize
with
a
the way
community
they
meeting soon
responded
with
or
community
reacted
leaders to bring their concerns
If they got a call
regarding
as
this
one,
incident.
there
That's
was
right. The
a
Inspector
robbery,
General, the
just
Civilian
imagine
Oversight Commission, going to be looking
mindset
into this
and the
as
safety
well.
precautions
Is it
they
a
have to
training
take to get
issue?
there.
Is it a
That is
misconduct
going to be
issue? Of
evaluated.
course, the sheriff's
Part of
saying they
that
do not know all the
is,
facts yet,
when
but this is a priority, him being very
how
transparent
did
there
the
as to
chain of
what's
command
happened.